Yes, inshallah, Shaykh Waleed will be here shortly. No, but the cat. I don't know. It's up to you.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم وإذ اعتزلتموهم وما يعبدون إلا الله فأووا إلى الكهف ينشر لكم ربكم من رحمته ويهيئ لكم من أمركم مرفقا وترى الشمس إذا طلعت تزاور عن كهفهم ذات اليمين وإذا غربت تقرضهم ذات الشمال وهم في فجوة منه ذلك من آيات الله من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وتحسبهم أيقاظا وهم رقود ونقلبهم ذات اليمين وذات الشمال وكلبهم باسط ذراعيه بالوصيد لو اطلعت عليهم لوليت منهم فرارا ولملئت منهم رعبا. These are the verses, inshallah, that we're going to focus on today. Umar, go ahead and read the translation. Does it connect all the way in? Oh, I think, can you come here and read from here? He disconnected it. Just 1 second. It's only his. Try again. Yeah. You can sit on the side.
When you have turned away from them and those whom they worship, except Allah, then seek refuge in the cave, and your Lord will extend His mercy for you and provide you ease in your matters. You would see the sun when it rose, turning away from their cave towards the right, and when it set, it bypassed them towards the left, and they were lying in the hollow thereof. That is one of the signs of Allah. Whomsoever Allah guides is the one who gets the right path, and whomsoever He lets go astray, for him you will find no one to help, no one to lead. You would think that they were awake while they were asleep. We turned them on their sides, right and left. And their dog had its 4 legs stretched out to the doorstep. If you had a look at them, you would have fled away from them and would have been filled with awe of them.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Last class we stopped at the concept of وَإِذِ اعْتَزَلْتُمُوهُمْ, and when you withdraw from them, when you isolated yourself from them. And there is a concept in our religion, in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's called al-uzla, which is, whoever has the phone, just turn it off. Okay, it's a phone day. So this concept of al-uzla, which is isolation or to withdraw from being part of the life or the public life, or to be part of your society, to isolate yourself from them. What's this concept? Where is there is anything in Islam call people to withdraw from the society, to isolate themselves from the society, like these young men did. Al-uzla, this isolation, first of all, it has two, it manifestates itself in 2 forms, in 2 ways. Al-uzla laha ma'nayan. Number 1 is a tangible meaning, which is literally, physically, you isolate yourself from the society. You go live far away from them. You don't mix with them. You don't deal with them. And the other one, it is an intangible one. It's uzlah ma'nawiyya, which is basically, yes, you may be with people, with your body, but your heart and your mind and your conscious somewhere else. You isolate your soul from them. And sometimes both can be in one situation. Like I give you an example. You might be living in a house, or you've been inviting to a gathering, okay? But in this gathering, you are sitting with them, but you don't like anything happening in this gathering. So you are completely isolated from this gathering because you're thinking about somewhere else and making istighfar, and I'm forced to be here, but you know what? My heart and mind somewhere else. Maybe I work in this place. I go every day. But I am forced into it, and my heart and mind somewhere else. So that's what you call al-uzlah al-shu'uriyya, which is an intangible kind of isolation, that your mind and heart and soul somewhere else than the place that your body is. You see that these young men, both type of isolations happened to them. In the beginning, they lived with their people who used to worship other than Allah, who used to do all these kind of things that they disagree with, and they disannounce it. They told themselves, we free ourselves from such worshiping, we free ourselves from such practicing, that's right. And they end up with the other type of isolation, other type of uzla, which is they move to the cave away from them. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us that there is a time will come, يأتي على الناس زمان يكون خير دين المرء. The best thing to do for your deen, for your Islam, for your faith, is to go to the mountains and to isolate yourself from the society and to stay away from people. And that a day will come. And most of the ulama referring that this will happen when the false Messiah appear and Ya'juj wa Ma'juj comes, where people run away because they will be either killed or they will be misled by this great trial of the false Messiah. But it could happen at certain time, at certain places. So my question here, what is the guidelines for this concept? And how can we understand this fully correct? Because part of the isolation is to isolate yourself from the society and the community you're living in. You don't mix with the society that you're in. And I think that's something very well need to be discussed here in America. A lot of Muslim community are also very isolated. They don't mix with the society around them. Where does that come from? What are the guidelines? Is there anything I need to fix? Okay. What are the guidelines in this issue? As for the isolations, which is physically, you isolate yourself, you don't mix with people, you don't gather with people, that it is correct if the reason for it is correct. Like, for example, a person will leave certain places, will leave certain people, will leave certain group, or maybe isolate himself from certain people because that those people are considered a threat for him, for his safety, a threat for his religion, a threat for his family, so he will isolate himself from those people. But he cannot isolate, or they're doing something haram when they gather. So I isolate myself from this gathering. I'm not mixing with them while you're doing the haram. But while they're doing something permissible, or something good, or something obligatory, I should not isolate myself from them. I should not abstain from them. I should not have uzlah from the society. For example, in Salatul Jumu'ah, in Salatul Jama'ah, I know, for example, some people today have this notion. They say, oh, there is so much fitna in the masjid, people gossip. In certain masjid, alhamdulillah, we don't have that in our masjid. But in certain masjids, people say there is so much fitna, there is this going on, so he stopped going to the masjid. That's not correct. You should look for another masjid. If there is not, you go pray and you leave. You don't leave Salatul Jama'ah because it is from Hadiyun Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. You don't leave Salatul Jumu'ah. Last a few months back. Last time I remember I had a discussion with a brother who stopped going to Jumu'ah. And I said, why? He said, Sheikh, I benefit nothing from the Khatib al-Jumu'ah. You know, the khutbah is so turned off, is bad, is this. And literally he said, I feel I protect my deen by isolating myself from the people and not even mixing with them in Jumu'ah. Said that's from the shaitan. This type of isolation is absolutely haram. Some people, when they see the Muslim community have some problems, what they do, they isolate themselves from the Muslim community and they don't mix with them anymore. This isolation is completely wrong. That's not the uzlah that the Sharia said about. At least you don't isolate yourself from them when they're doing something correct, something from the deen like the Eid, the Jama'ah, the Salah, the Jumu'ah, Ijabatul Da'wah, Silatul Rahim, being good to your kinship. That's why in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he talked about the people who isolate themselves from the society, he said, يَدَعُ النَّاسَ إِلَّا مِنْ خَيْرٍ. Sahih Muslim, he said he will isolate himself from the people except from the good thing. And the good things he will mix with people. And also, Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu ardah said, من قال حي على القتال تركناه ومن قال حي على الصلاة أجبناه. In his time, in Medina, there was a great fitna in Medina at that time. The Khawarij came and they killed Uthman ibn Affan and there were a huge chaos. But Ibn Umar still goes to the masjid and pray. Even the one who will lead the prayer, the majority of the people in the masjid were among them, many of them participated in killing Uthman radiallahu anh. So they said, Ibn Umar, how can you go to the masjid and all these people, bad people, they just killed Uthman radiallahu anh. They are the Khawarij. How can you go to the masjid? He said, whenever someone said, come to prayer, I go. Whenever someone say, come to fight, I don't go. So he isolated himself from them when it comes to their evil actions. But he did not isolate himself from being part of the Jama'ah in the masjid and praying in the Salah. Also, it is permissible for the person to isolate himself from the community for a valid reason. Like for example, someone say, you know what, I don't come to, but not to the obligatory things. Like, hey, I don't come to mix with the community a lot. I don't socialize a lot with people because I want to free myself to seek knowledge. You know what? To pass an exam. Dr. Anas here in this masjid, best example of uzla. You know what? For the last 5 months or so, he's with us and not with us. He always sitting in that table, isolating himself from us. Don't mix with us, don't talk to us. Why? Because he's a bar exam to pass in that medical school. He's completely isolated. Even someone told me, what's wrong with this guy? He didn't even sit with us. It is for a valid reason because he has an exam, he prepared himself for it. So that's right. You know, to isolate yourself for a right reason, it is permissible. Like fi muhasabat al-nafs, you want not to be mixing with people after Isha or after Fajr, or because you want to focus on dhikrullah, focus on contemplating on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creation, reviewing yourself, having muhasabah, having islahul qalb, fixing your heart, that's fine. Also, if this is the case, we should know that al-uzla, isolation, not necessarily to be generalized. You can isolate yourself from certain type of people, but not some. The people who waste your time, the people who lead you to do wrong, not from the people who are good or well lead you to do something right. It is absolutely permissible in a time of chaos, a time of confusion, for the person to isolate himself from the public. And you know what? I don't want to deal with the people. Even he will withdraw from the whole entire society and will go to his house, even he can pray at his house. When it's a huge fitna that involve people dying, people's life in danger, in things like of this nature, they are allowed to isolate themselves from the society. If they cannot do any good or change, or they feel their contribution will not help in any form or any shape. And that's why in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, mentioned in the end of the day, يكون خير ما للمسلم, the best anything the Muslim can do is to have some sheep and go to the mountain, taking care of them, basically following the rain, and يفر بدينه من الفتن. The point is that he is running away from the fitan, protecting his deen from the fitan. And because of this, I want to say, in some countries, there happened fitan, a great test for the society in these countries. Like in Egypt, what happened in Egypt with the, what he called the Arab Spring, and all those revolutions, and what happened after that. You have in Libya, you have in Syria, you have in many places, there is a lot of chaos, a lot of problems. So if someone decides to say, you know what, I don't want to pass an opinion. I want to isolate myself completely from this whole thing. I don't want to pass a judgment for or against. I don't want to take sides. I don't want to talk about this issue at all. I want to be completely off, and I will leave the people. I'm not going to have Facebook. I'm not going to have social media. I'm not going to talk about this. I don't want to even be part. I'm closing down all my classes, and I'm shutting down everything. Which is, I know some of my friends did that in Egypt, for example. And they decided to be completely silent for a good period of time because they are so confused about the situation. Is that something permissible? Absolutely, it is permissible. And I'm saying this because we have to be also shows mercy and ease on our brothers if they choose that position. Because that position, you cannot criticize them for it. But is this the best position? Absolutely no. Because the Muslim at that time, the community at that time, looking for leader to lead them. But maybe it is the best for him, but not necessarily the best for the whole entire society. But you cannot blame him if he cannot help. If he cannot help and he withdraw from the society, that's the best I can. He should not be blamed. He should not be attacked. He should not be labeled. And unfortunately, this has happened in many forms sometimes, even in some of the local issues. If you don't have anything to say and you basically prefer or refrain from making or passing any comment in the modern issues, nobody can blame you for that. But I will tell you, in time of tests, in time of chaos, people recognize who true leaders and who's not. People recognize who is the person who have the wisdom and the ilm and the thabat, the stood fast during the time of fitna, and who is not. And we should all remember what the Prophet ﷺ said. الذي يصبر الناس الذي يخالط الناس أو المؤمن الذي يخالط الناس ويصبر على أذاهم خير من الذي لا يخالطهم ولا يصبر على أذاهم. The mu'min who mixes with people and he or she is patient with their problems and complaints, and because when you deal with people, you have problems. Will you be patient with them? Better than the one who isolates himself from the society and have no patience for people. Reported by Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala. I think isolating ourselves completely from the society is not an advantage for anyone, especially for the people of da'wah. To isolate yourself from the society completely, that will not bring any good to us, especially here for America as us in society. And I'll tell you the truth, before 9/11, many of our community was very isolated. Many Muslim community was completely isolated and live in a bubble, live in a shell, and they don't want to open up to any other society. They don't even care about the others, the world around them. They're living for themselves, among themselves, and that's about it. And that was not, in many cases, in many community, was the smart move. As a matter of fact, it is important for us as a community to be integrated in the society, to deal with other people, mix with other people, especially in the area of goodness, the area that it will bring benefit to us and to the society in large. The mu'min, his or her participation in public life, bring good, bring justice, reduce evil, reduce immorality, reduce injustice. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, give you a very good example, happened during Ibn Taymiyyah time. There is an invader force came and invaded the Muslim world. It's called the Tatar. They came and they destroyed Baghdad, and they basically reached to Syria, and they took over all this region. They end up Muslims, but they are Muslims, but still monsters. Because it is very ironic. Not every person became Muslim, he lose what he used to be. You have a Muslim who's still a monster, an angry person, a Muslim who is a miser and stingy, a Muslim who is coward, a Muslim who is, it happened. People are people. So these people, yes, they accepted Islam, but still unfair, the very unjust people. And they came up with something called al-yasaqa, their own law they apply to the people. Anyway, Shaykh al-Islam rahimahullah was asked about a man who will work as a tax collector for them. Tax collector. And we know that those people have put unfair taxes on people. He worked with them, with the government of that invading society, invading force. He was asked, would it be okay? He said, yes, it would be okay if your work with them will reduce the injustice and promote justice. If you can work with them and you will be able to reduce through your work with them the amount of injustice that happened to the society, work. That mixing with the Tatar, not isolating the self from them, if it will lead to a great benefit for the society in large, go ahead for it. I wish that this example is something that we can reflect upon in our society today. That to open the door for so many areas that us as a community, our presence, our participation in it, in my opinion, will bring a lot of good to the society, a lot of good to the world. Because we are ummah marhuma, ummah that Allah have brought mercy through it. That ummah Allah blessed it. It's ummah that Allah have chosen. Ummah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given a leadership position in the world. Isolation make you suspicious. Isolation make you receptive to all kind of labeling, because nobody knows who you are. Isolation make you very easy target for the media, for the public, to what? To put you in the frame that they like. Isolation will prevent you from building ties and bonds and bridges and relationships can protect you in the future. We have a simple rule. Everybody, I think, agree on that rule. That you have to make your friends before you need them. That's right. You have to make your friends before you need them. Can you imagine if there is a crisis happen? The Muslim community cannot seek friends and help from people if they never invest in this relationship, if they never been known, if they never been basically mixing and being part of the society. And that's why I do believe that isolation, it's not a very good choice for the Muslim community today. So for example, those who don't care for elections, being part of the electing process, and they don't go vote. What happened? This isolation, this abandoning it, this basically withdraw from it, wouldn't help the Muslim community. As a matter of fact, most of the things that you see today in the election cycle that we are in these days, that's why there is a lot of attack on Muslims in this election cycle. It is because Muslims' vote is not very important. It means nothing. Not only the numbers, even the money. one of the brothers here in our community invited, I don't know if I should go like clear, invited one of the people who are running for public office in Houston. And he was running for a big public office in Houston. Okay? And he gathered the Muslim community in his house so they can donate. Because vote and campaign need money. And that's what makes the society strong. One of the people who came, and you can imagine, if I invite people to my house to support a candidate, I will invite the people that they are wealthy. That's right. That's why I wasn't invited. Okay, but he invited the people who have money. One of them wrote a check of $23. At $23 for someone running for the highest office in the city of Houston. Then after that we say we demand the Muslim community. Unfortunately, in Islam, if you want how Islamic system works, in Islam, your rights is given to you without you demanding it. That's Allah's law. That your rights comes to you even if you don't ask for it. But in man-made law and Sharia, it doesn't work this way. You have to earn your right. You have to work your hard to earn justice. You have to work hard to earn your respect. That's how humans' law is. It's not like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way He put the law. That's a huge difference between the way of the Sharia works and the way man-made law works. In order for you to have justice for all, people died, people, humiliated. You see how the black community had to go through much suffering to get their rights. Woman has to go through a lot of suffering to get the rights. And they still didn't get everything else, all the rights yet. At least the basic things, like equal pay and things of that nature. So you see a lot of things that you have to struggle for. That's the nature of the work here. So isolation, in my opinion, for the Muslim community, withdraw from it. It will not help. Withdraw from being part of the economy and effective partners in building a strong economy. The language of money is the strongest language ever. Being part of every sector, every institution in the government, in my opinion, in the long run, it is a secure that's how, in my opinion, one of the ways to secure your future as a community. We need more Muslims to be seen as judge, Congress, in the law enforcement, in the forces, in every area in life. It is important to be part of life. And isolation and withdrawal, if it can be applied to one individual who cannot be part of that. Like that day, one brother asked me, that he want to join, for example, the law enforcement. And I told him, I think you will be very good. He's a good Muslim person, have a good personality. You will be a good person to go to that field. Or someone want to go to the political field. And some other, I might advise them not. They are very weak. They will not be able to handle all this pressure. And maybe they will be lost and they lose their way. The family cannot take that. So it depends. So I understand someone can withdraw, but as a community in large, no. We should be seen in every aspect, in every area. It is important to identify yourself before someone else identify you. Yeah. If this been said, I have also to make sure that it's not my ever goal is to see the Muslim community basically assimilate the other community, and we lose our identity. Assimilation is not what my goal is. Integration is my goal. Is to be part of the society. but you keep your identity. You keep who you are, the beautiful things that made you and distinguish you. My point is not, you know what, let's drop everything and we just have no identity as Muslim. That's not right. Isolation can be even inside one society. Yani you will see in one society, in one community, inside the community, sometimes you see part of them isolate from the rest. And I think one of the things that made us isolated from the rest of the community, language, the barrier of language, make you withdraw. To culture, have a different culture, make you withdraw from the society. One of the things is that make you withdraw from the society, in my opinion, is clothes, the way you dress sometimes. A lot of people basically, you feel you cannot be mixed because just the way they dress. They insist on certain type of dress as if it is something Islamic. And I mean by that, in Islam, we don't have so-called Islamic dress, a specific clothes that is called Islamic. We have conditions, have code for things to make it an Islamic. Yes, you can wear culture clothes like me wearing today, Dr. Shbaq wearing today. That's fine, no problem. But it doesn't mean that he needs to go tomorrow to his clinic in that culture clothes. That doesn't mean that, okay? Because if you insist on that, that can create a problem to be part of the society. That's why Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah once said that it is much better to wear clothes that it is similar to the common clothes in a non-Muslim land, so they can accept from you. They don't isolate you, they don't feel, you feel like a stranger. كان واحد من أهل العلم, one of the mashayikh, went to Europe. One of the scholars went to Europe, and he was wearing suit. And he's a sheikh and a student of knowledge, was wearing suit. So someone sent him a question. He said, يا شيخ هلا أخبرتنا عن لباس رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Someone sent him a piece of paper. He said, can you tell us how the Prophet ﷺ used to dress? I never saw him so before. Okay? And I consider him one of my shuyukh as well. So he understood immediately what? The point. Then he said, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يلبس لباس أبي جهل. He said the Prophet ﷺ used to dress the same clothes that Abu Jahl used to wear. You got it? He said the Prophet ﷺ used to wear the same clothes Abu Jahl used to wear. The same clothes. Yani, in other words, the guy was telling, oh, you're wearing the clothes of the kuffar. The Prophet was wearing the clothes of the kuffar too. You know? So he was very smart in the way, and immediately he answered him like this. And this is very true. One of the area that I think also Muslim community should focus on and work more on it, that it is participation with other religious communities, especially in states and places where faith community very effective. Like, when you come here to Texas, for example, and so many other states as well, in America, generally speaking, religious-based community are very effective in the society. This issue of when do you withdraw and when you interact, and which area you should be part of and which area you should avoid. These areas needs knowledge, needs wisdom, needs sabr, needs tawasi. And that's the last one is so important. What's tawasi? Tawasi is working collectively, advising one another, watching one another, getting each other's back. So if I see Umar, getting a little bit off the way, I said, Umar, hey, you need to watch out. You need to do this. You see Shaykh Waleed getting too much in this area, hey, you need to turn on the tone a little bit. It needs that collective work. Hey, I think this area is completely nobody covering it. Why don't you do it? Why don't you be part of it? Why don't you represent us in this area? So that's how it is. These conditions, in my opinion, is very, very essential for those who want to mix. I will say them again: knowledge, wisdom, sabr, patience, and having people to help you work collectively, which tawasi, reminding one another. And if I would add anything, it will be confidence. That you need confidence in order for you to be able to mix with people and to be an influence of good rather than just being influenced by people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after that telling us, وَتَرَى الشَّمْسَ إِذَا طَلَعَتْ تَزَاوَرُ عَنْ كَهْفِهِمْ. And you might have seen the sun. You, who is you? Who's the Quran addressing? It could be the Prophet Muhammad. يعني أنت يا محمد لو رأيتهم. Or it could be أنت أيها القارئ للقرآن. You, the one who's reciting the Quran. The reciter of the Quran. So me and you basically. And you might have seen the sun when it rose, declining to the right from their cave. تزاوروا عن كهفهم ذات اليمين. التزاور in Arabic language, declining or inclining away, declining to the right, moving towards the right. And there is another qira'ah, تزاوروا عن كهفهم. And in the night, وإذا غرب, when it comes to the end of the day, تقرضهم. القرض يعني القطع. Okay? القرض القطع. That's why we say the nail cutter, we call it مقراض. Why? Because it cut the nails. So تقرضهم, it cut. It means cut off, or it will turning away from them to the left. Some of the ulama said, if you notice, turning away from the cave, okay, to the left, and when it roused, turning toward the right from the cave. Quran referring to the cave, the movement of the sun, and its relationship with the cave. He did not say from their bodies, like it's not like going away the right side of their body or the left side of their bodies. It is their cave. And ulama said because the sun actually did not touch their body directly. The sun only, the heat and the light of, come to the cave but did not go straight to their bodies. Did not touch their bodies. Did not lay the rays of the sun, did not lay on their bodies. Why? Can you think of a reason? ليش قال عن كهفهم ذات اليمين مش عن أجسادهم. Why the sun, the moon, the sun is always connected to the, here in the verse he said, to the cave, not to their body. It's right or left. They said because if the sun basically directed to their body with all this time, it could affect their skin. Okay, so it's not maybe something good for them. But also, if the sun basically lay directed to their body, it will expose them. And they want to be hidden from people. Even if someone passes away, will not know that there is someone inside. So the sun only comes into the cave for a little bit in the early of the day. Okay? So there is heat, there is fresh air, so it will be a place that is not netting, yani it will not be like a grave that it's completely locked. There is no fresh air and circulation of the air. The sun will basically assure that this place, the sun regularly come in at angle that prevent molds, insect, infestations, things of that nature. So that's the benefit of having the sun moving like this. طيب. Then العلماء I'm not going to go into this a lot, but some of the ulama said, if when it rouse, that al-yamin, it goes to the right. And when it's sunset, go to the left. So that means that the cave opened towards the north. And Al-Alusi said northeast. In order for the sun, when it tries to go to the right, and when it goes in the west, when it's sunset, go to the left. So that means it's the cave opening, it was towards northeast. And Ibn Hazm said just north. Anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. وَهُمْ فِي فَجْوَةٍ مِّنْهِ. And basically, and they lay in the midst of the cave, way inside, in the midst of the cave. So nobody can see them. And this is very interesting. He basically put them away from people to notice them. وَهُمْ فِي فَجْوَةٍ مِّنْهِ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ذَلِكَ مِنْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ. That is one of the ayat, the proof, the evidence, the sign of Allah. He whom Allah guides, he is the rightly guided. But he whom he sends astray, for him you will find no guiding friend, wali, or a supporter to lead him to the right path. لن تجد له وليا مرشدا. It is one of Allah's signs. Referring to what? ماذا? What do you think? إيش هي اللي من آيات الله؟ ذلك من آيات الله. What is ذلك? What's that pronoun leading to? It is that one of, that what? Referring to what? The people of the cave? What do you mean the people of the cave? Oh, very good. He's saying, Sayyidina Nabil, saying that one of the ayatillah, one of the sign of Allah, that He guided such young people to Islam, even though all the elders, all the leaders of their society are misguided. That's in itself ayah, that's in itself sign, that's in itself something miracle, that's in itself something unique. That's from ayatillah, that He guided them even though they are young, no experience, even though they are going against the Rome, the culture, what the leader says, even with all the threat and the pressure, they still accept and hold to the iman. Another opinion, yes? Preserving their body all these years, okay? And without changing happening to them, that's one of the sign of Allah. Very good. And that's also that one of that meaning. Also another meaning, al-ulama said, it is one of ayatullah that Allah guided them to find the cave and to sleep in the middle of the cave. In a such way, it's amazing how Allah protecting them over there. That He did not let anyone to discover them all these years. Hundreds of years, nobody discovered them. That's one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sign. We've been repeating a rule in tafsir many times now. We said, any multiple opinions been given by the scholars to explain a verse, they don't contradict one another. We should what? Combine them all together. So we said this refer to all these three areas. All this from ayatillah, all this from the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Mufassirin, the interpreter of the Quran, go on details on how many of them, what's their names, where is the cave. Most of the people say that the cave in Turkey today, and until today, they have a place in Turkey and they have it designated and people go visit it and stuff like that. But there is no proof for that at all. Okay? They talked about the dog, what color, what kind, what breed of a dog it is, you know, and all these details. There is no proof from it from the Quran and Sunnah, but there is a lot of talk like this. Allah did not tell us where it is, what's the name of them, how many of them. We don't know anything about these details because Al-Quran is not interested in documenting history for the sake of history, of the sake story. The Quran is a book of guidance. Okay, and that's the main reason for it. طيب, من يهدي الله يا سلام. If you're amazed by how these young people became Muslims, and Allah guided them versus older people, remember, always try to think about the story and the Prophet ﷺ time when they receive. So the same thing. How come the Prophet ﷺ, most of the people became Muslims in the time of the Prophet ﷺ were young men, like the people of the cave, not the leaders of the Quraysh, of their people. There's a lot of similarity in the story. Okay? So here, Allah say, not necessarily the smartest, the brightest one did not become Muslim. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to make a very interesting fact here. That whoever Allah guide, he is the guided one. So the guidance comes from who? From Allah. That's why when the kuffar told Nuh, وَمَا نَرَى اتَّبَعَكَ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ هُمْ أَرَاذِلُنَا بَادِيَ الرَّأْيِ. We see the people who follow you are not the brightest among us, not the smartest one. Why always the people who بادي الرأي, يعني their opinion, they're not smart, they're not very good talker, they're not the leader of the society. That's why when Abu Sufyan, the king of Rome, asked him, who is most of Muhammad's followers? He said, the weak and the poor. He said, and that's how all the prophets used to be. Most of the prophets and all the prophets, their followers were the weak and the poor. Not necessarily the richest, the smartest. No, Allah wants to make this clear to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because earlier Al-Quran told us how the Prophet want to kill himself over the people of Mecca not accepting Islam. لَخَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَى آثَارِهِمْ أَلَّا يَكُونُوا مُؤْمِنِينَ. You're killing yourself over their kufr. So here in the verse, want to tell Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, remind him and everyone, there is a very important fact, which is whoever Allah guide is the guided one. So those young people, don't be surprised. Allah guided them. And they are the truly guided one. Because guidance are not measured by anything else other than being committed to the truth. Not by your wealth, not by your tribe, not by your lineage, not by the level of your education, not by the culture, not by the skin color, not by what most of people believe in. No, the guidance is to submit yourself to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why the guidance, because it is from Allah, it is a gift from Allah. It's a favor from Allah. And that's let us as a Muslim today, if we know that make us always asking Allah to guide us. Because if you seek guidance from other than Allah, Allah telling you, فَلَن تَجِدَ لَهُ وَلِيًّا مُرْشِدًا. If you seek someone to guide you through the hard time, through the calamities, through the fitan, through the test, other than Allah, you will never find someone to guide you, to support you. That's why you always attach your heart to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So many times when we plan, I attend sometimes these meetings about, or conversation about how we're going to counter the message of, the Islamophobe, and how we're going to do this and do that. When we forget about one thing that is so important, which is why we're planning all this, we make sure that we ask Allah to guide us to do the right thing. We make sure that we have the taqwa and the sabr and the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It will help us to succeed. Absolutely. وَمَن يَهْدِ. Because al-hidayah from Allah to open your heart. Because you might find the reason. You might know the way. You might know the road. But the point here is not knowing. The point is willing. The point is that you commit to it. You know it's haram, but you're still doing it. You know it's the wrong thing, but you're still doing it. You know, I know all this. But I remember one of the guys here in our community, I went to collect from him the child support from his wife, for his wife. I remember Arafat sent me. First year I came to America. My first year, you know, he used to let me run around. I'm just kidding. So he asked me to help and to collect this money for that sister. So first experience, can you imagine, I'm fresh off the boat, as they say. Okay? So I go to this guy and he has a bar. Serve alcohol. So he said, I get you something to drink. I said, no, thank you. He said, don't worry, halal, water. I said, no, thank you, I don't want anything. Then he said, where are you from? Oh, from Egypt. Oh, my partner is Arab too. He said, is like you. And me and him going straight to hell. Wallahi, that's what he told me. Me and him, we going straight to hell. Wallahi, when he said that, I got a goosebump. We don't pray, Sheikh, and we sell alcohol, we drink alcohol, you know, and we have all bad things we do. He knows it's not a lack of knowledge, but it is the hidayah from Allah. It's the guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That He open your heart and giving you the determination to do it. That's fadl. You know what? It's fairness comes to show you the right and the wrong. Fairness is to give you access to knowledge. But it is absolutely a favor is to help you and to aid you. That's why al-hidayah, it's an absolute favor from Allah. And al-ghiwaya, going astray, it's absolute justice. Because Allah give you absolutely an equal opportunity. Give you the knowledge, give you the sign, show you the two ways, and He left you for yourself. But the other one who Allah guided, He showed him the way, He left him for self, but also He favored him. He gave him the support. He gave him the determination. He opened his heart. So you might ask, why would Allah open the heart of this one and favor this one over that one? Because that one show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I need you, Ya Rabb. I love you, Ya Rabb. The other one, his arrogance said, I don't care for you, Ya Rabb. I can't do it on my own. So Allah leave him for himself. And I'll tell you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, son of Adam, you walk to me, I run to you. You never find someone walk to Allah and Allah walk away from him. It's not exist. That's why it is al-hidayah. It is two kind. Al-hidayah is Allah open your heart, or al-hidayah that Allah show you the way. Showing you the way, it's all humans are equal. But opening the heart, that's a favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He give it to you. And Allah said, لَن تَجِدَ لَهُ وَلِيًّا مُرْسِدًا. The one who chooses to be in his own and he doesn't care for Allah, you would never find someone to support him. You would never find support. That lets you realize one interesting fact about the story. That the elders and the leaders of this village and whoever similar to them, all their positions, all their wealth, all their weapons, all their armies will not support them in the dunya or in the akhirah. It will not benefit them. And that's in itself an indication of giving a glad tidings to the Muslims that they will be the victorious in the end of the day. And the people of the Kahf, they were the victorious. They lived and they passed, and everybody else vanished from the face of the earth. That's an amazing way of putting it. And also give the same indication to Muhammad ﷺ with his own people. That, Ya Muhammad, don't worry. Nobody gonna support them. In the end of the day, they will be the loser. And you will prevail. Also, this verse shows you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has will. And whatever He wills, happen. It's not like some sects in Islam, it's called Mu'tazila. They said that Allah doesn't will anything. Allah have no will. People do their own things according to their own will, and Allah has nothing to do with it. Allah never willed it, never aware of it. They deny the will of Allah. أنكروا قدرة الله ومشيئته. That's why when A'rabi, a Bedouin, came to Al-Basra. In Al-Basra there is a very famous Zahid, avid, ascetic, worshipper. But he is the head of the Mu'tazila from this deviant sect. His name is Amr ibn Ubayd. So this Arabi he saw his ibadah and he heard about how ascetic he is. So let me ask him. He said, Ya Shaykh, ud'u Allah li, pray for me. He said, what happened? He said, I came to your city with my donkey and somebody stole my donkey. سرق أحدهم حماري فادعوا الله أن يرد لي حماري. Pray to Allah that Allah give me my donkey back. So Amr ibn Ubayd said, Allahumma ya Rabb, inna himaratahu suriqat wa anta lam turid dhalik. He said, Ya Rabb, his donkey was stolen from him and you never willed that. You didn't will that. Okay? So bring it back to him. Then the Bedouin, with the fitrah, subhanAllah, he said, Uskut ma akhbatha du'a'ak. He said, shut up. What an evil dua you just made it. He said, I'm afraid that that God that you pray for, who my donkey was stolen without his will, yani somebody overpowered God's will and he stole my donkey. If he wants to return it back to me, he couldn't because he has no will. If this is the case, if Allah God has no will at all, and now he wants to return back my donkey, he couldn't because he has no will. He has no power to do anything in the world. He said, I don't want your dua. Get out of here. قال أخشى أنه يريد ردها فلا تقع لأنه لا يقع ما يريد. That's why Allah said, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. Everything you will, it's already willed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why you were able to do it. I just want to end with one point. It is so interesting that he said in the beginning of the verse, ذَلِكَ مِنْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ. It is from Allah's sign. Allah has so many signs, have so many evidence. Some of them we see it with our own eyes. Some of them we hear about them, like this story. But other thing that we see. Can you give me an example of something that we see from Allah's evidence in the universe or in the world? Like the creation of the heavens and the earth and the sun and the moon, the stars, the way He created all these signs. The ulama said, في فائدة جميلة. There is a beautiful meaning here. That Allah connect between the concept of hidayah, guidance, and the concept of noticing Allah's signs and evidence in the world. Al-hidayah happen, the guidance happen when you look at this evidence in the world. When you look around you and whatever around you remind you of Allah, that one of the reasons for you to be guided, that you contemplate, you look at the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you look at the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He's giving you every day, that you pass by it every day, you live it every day, you experience every day, you hear about it in the Quran, you hear about it in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All these are evidence and sign from Allah. Watching it, noticing it, lead to the hidayah. That's why Allah have put these two together. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in many verses, He connect between the two. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار والفلك التي تجري في البحر بما ينفع الناس وما أنزل الله من السماء من ماء فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها وبث فيها من كل دابة وتصريف الرياح والسحاب المسخر بين السماء والأرض لآيات لقوم يعقلون. Indeed, in the creations of the heavens and earth, and the alteration of the light and the day, and the great ships which sail through the sea with that which benefits people, and what Allah has sent down from the heavens of rain, giving life thereby to the earth after its liveliness and disappearing therein every kind of moving creation, and His decreting of the wind and clouds controlled between the heavens and the earth are signs for people who use reason. Aql, thinking and connecting things together so they can arrive to the concept of the Hidayah. And unfortunately, I did not finish what I was planning to do, but we'll try to make it much faster, inshallah, next time. If anybody has a question, otherwise we will call it for tonight. He said there is people keep saying, Allah will protect us, Allah will protect us, but they don't take any necessarily steps. Ask those people, said, Allah provide for you? Isn't Allah the provider, Ar-Razzaq? So stay home and don't work. Don't go to job tomorrow. Allah is the Ghani, don't pay the bills and see what's going to happen. So you need to take the necessary steps to receive Allah's provision, to receive Allah's wealth and ata. The same thing you need to do is to do the necessary steps to receive Allah's protection. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Abir. Jazakallah khair. And the sisters, if they have any question, you can open the door and ask. Otherwise, inshallah, we'll call it for tonight. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.